So I'm going to rotate two shapes now, and they're the first two shapes that are on the worksheet that we're using. So this first one is a triangle, and I need to rotate that 90 degrees clockwise, so it wants to go around that way, so it's a clockwise direction, and by 90 degrees, so that's a quarter of a turn, so I can start to get an idea in my head of what the shape's going to look like when I'm finished, so that I'll be able to check it in some way. Now, before I use my tracing paper, what I want to do is have some way of knowing when I've turned it round, when I've rotated it by 90 degrees. So the way I'm going to do that is by putting a line from this point here, from a centre of rotation on my shape to somewhere on this triangle. Now, I could draw my line to anywhere, but I'm going to draw it just up to here, so it's very easy to see if it's going straight up how far I've rotated it. Now I'm ready to copy the shape onto my tracing paper. Now I should really use a ruler for this, but I'm just going to do it freehand so that I can do it a little bit quicker. And I'm also going to trace that line and put the centre of rotation in so it's nice and clear. So I need to rotate it 90 degrees round. I'm going to put my pen, well, I should be using a pencil, I'm using a pen so it's clear on the video, on the centre of rotation, and then I can start to turn my shape round, and the line that I drew in lets me see now how far I've turned my shape round. So I can see now that when I started off that line was going up there, now it's going straight across, so that angle is 90 degrees. So what I need to do now is mark where each of these points are, each of the corners of this triangle on the paper underneath. So if I hold my tracing paper down, I can see through the tracing paper and I can see that that point is on a corner of a square here. So if I lift my tracing paper up, being really careful to make sure I get the right square, I can mark that point on there, and I can do the same for this point here. So that's at the corner of a square as well. So I can lift that up, mark that on there. And then this final point here is one square across from a centre of rotation. So I can mark that one on as well. Now I can get rid of my tracing paper and just join up all the corners of a triangle, and that will give me my rotated shape. So that's been rotated by 90 degrees clockwise. For the second shape, do this really quickly. Okay, I need to draw a line again going from my centre of rotation here to anywhere on my shape. Again, I'm going to do it so it's going straight down, so it'll be easy to see when I've rotated it 180 degrees. But I could draw that line going to anywhere on the shape. I'm just doing it to where it's going to make the rest of my job a little bit easier. And I'll draw the rest of these lines in now. Again, I'm doing it freehand just so it's a bit quicker. Put my centre of rotation on. I can put my pen there and start rotating it around. So if it's 180 degrees, it should make a straight line, and we can see now got that, and it is making a straight line there with that shape. Okay, so I can mark each of these points on here. Again, being really careful lifting my tracing paper up to get the right points underneath. And the same on this side, I can see what corner that goes to there. So I'm going to mark that point on underneath, and then that point is one square above the centre of rotation, so that's going to go to there. I can take my tracing paper away and join those 3 points up, and I'm done.